Hi, my name is Cindy Rang, and we're out here at the Retreat Center for another trunk show with Carolyn Hutchinson. All right, this is my friend Carolyn Hutchinson. You guys all know her if you've been watching us for a while. So Carolyn used to live here in Ephrata and used to teach for us and worked at the shop, and then she moved off to be with grandbaby in Boise. But good for us, she still comes here every single year at the end of April. At the end of April for an annual retreat. And 20 to 25 people that come and follow her every year. A very, very, very popular retreat, 5 days, 4 nights, always doing new things because she is constantly creating. Some of our most popular patterns in our store are Carolyn's. We feature her stuff a lot. And for those of you guys that watch us a lot, we're taking home or back to the shop.
Yes.
A lot of her new ones. So you'll see them again and again. But anyway, she has some great things. What's really nice about Carolyn, and I feel like I say this a lot whenever we talk about you, Carolyn is like the math queen. Her patterns are absolutely done right. There are no mistakes. I challenge you to find, because I can't imagine that there's anything. I know
we try.
There's not. And she does all of the math. So there's the baby, the lap, the twin, the queen, the king. She does it all for you. You are a class act, and we like her patterns a lot. So super excited with her new ones, because the other thing she'll do is she will take something that looks kind of confusing or looks difficult and say, oh, no, it's 2 pieces. It's a square and a rectangle. And that was happening a lot this week with people thinking it was something different. And it's like, no, you need to trust me. I figured out an easier way to do this. Yeah. So her brain works differently. So what I'm going to stop yakking a whole lot. She's got some other gals that are here that are going to help her. But we're going to show you some of these things you may have seen before, but then you also are really going to want to see the new things that she has. All of her patterns are available in multiple places. You can find them on our website at fabricpatch.net, or you can find them, let's see, tell us how you sell yours.
You can go to our website,
okay,
carolynsinstitches.com, and there's a link there where they can order the PDF through my Etsy shop. But if they want the paper pattern, they need to go to their local quilt store.
Oh, local. So you sell the PDFs. So those of you guys that are local quilt shops and quilt shop owners, you can contact Carolyn directly and carry the patterns in your store. And is that how they would contact you, also through your website?
They can go to the website. There's a wholesale page on the website, and the patterns are listed there with the prices. So
Fantastic.
They can order direct.
All right, so again, some of these, if you watch us a lot, you might have seen some of these last year, but it's always worth seeing them again, and a little reminder of how they're awesome. So
this first one is called Baby Steps, and it is super quick and easy. You can use your stash. You can use just a 1/4 yard cut. These pieces are a full width of fabric, and then you've got 2 10-inch squares that make your pinwheels, so you can use any combination. And after I got this one done, I really wanted a larger size, and people were asking for them. Cindy mentioned that I like math. That almost destroyed me when I was trying to calculate this one, because I didn't want these pieces having to be pieced. So I couldn't go wider than the width of fabric, and still had to keep my pinwheels at the right lap over. And I kept doing it, and the math was right, but I didn't believe it, which was my mistake. But anyway, we finally got this in the larger size, and this is as large as you can go with this pattern without having to piece your strips. So I did not write it for anything larger. Okay, this one is called Bailey's Illusion, and in my head, I have this all designed for the 2 shades of dark gray and 2 shades of light, and then some sort of yellow in the middle. And then my niece's oldest was graduating from high school, and I needed a quilt, and so I thought, oh, I'll do this. And then she said she wanted it in teal and orange and gray, which was quite a challenge, but I found some fabric at the fabric patch that had an orange background and tiny little teal flowers in it. And so I had made the original quilt like that. And then when I got around, after I wrote the pattern then, to doing this, I never discourage people from buying one of my patterns. However, this is one on those puzzles where they show you 2 pictures and say, find 20 things that are different. If you hate those, you probably don't want to do this pattern. There are 2 separate blocks in it, and people that can't see those detailed differences, it's easy to get confused on it. But other than that, it goes together super fast. But you do have a reverse of the angle of these strips as you put them together. This one is called the Dresden Wreath, and you'll see the jelly roll Dresden a little bit later. I had made the jelly roll Dresden first, and then thought, what if I did a different center and made a wreath? So this one uses 10 fat quarters, and I do have in the pattern, there is a paper template to put on your ruler so that you can cut these. But if you don't want to use that, there is an acrylic template available now for that. And the pattern has a applique picture, or pattern rather, for an applique bow on here. So if you want to use it on a flat surface where you're going to set things like your table topper, you could do that, or you can do the 3-dimensional bow. Originally, I had planned to do a fall colors and then on one side and the Christmas on the other. So all I had to do was reverse it on my wall rather than having to store it for as long. This next one is Ferris wheel, and it was designed for a layer cake. It actually takes a printed layer cake and then an equal amount of background. So if you have a plain solid layer cake for the background, the layer cake for this makes this and that at the same time. And this one, you can see, you can do it in the positive or the negative. So I used the background here, and on this one I turned them and made them go the other way. So if you've got kids, grandkids that are sharing a room with a baby, you can do a crib one and a twin mattress or quilt to match. This one was originally designed in this picture here with shades of pink on a cream background. And it was, Cindy was going to work on a book one time. And it had its abide in the fabric patch for a while on a shelf. So finally, when I moved, I said, you know, I think I need to quilt that because I'm not sure you're going to get your book done very soon. So I took them home, and I did get this one quilted. I still have not quilted that one. It's still on my shelf at home. But great one to use the stash. And the one thing about this pattern is if you've done this kind of square, you know that when you do those half square triangles that way, you end up with them going 2 different directions. So if you want them all going one way, you have leftover blocks. So this one was designed with the technique of stitching those squares so that they all spin the same way and you have no waste. And originally I did it with a layer cake, but I rewrote it for yardage so that you could get your colors differently on that one. And I believe I only wrote that for that one size. This one, this backing came in. It's actually a batik, and it came in at the fabric patch, and I just thought it was a challenging fabric. So we matched it to the colors in the back of that one. And then I discovered, if you hold it still, that if you made these two squares the same color, you end up with a flower here and here and here. And I didn't see it until I took a picture of it and realized that those stand out. This is the original first pattern, not that I wrote, but that I published. It was 2015 for the PCA Association at the Fabric Patch. It's called Framed, and it is written for five or this size through king, and it is still my #1 selling pattern, has been from day one, and it just keeps on going. Made for a layer fade, rewritten for fat quarters or yardage. First of all, this is my grandson. He's now just turned 6. But those were camping fabrics that I had that my daughter wanted for her vintage camper. And so I made that design up and thought, well, I want to use pictures of Winston in it. And then I redid it with, yours is upside down, using a panel, again from the Fabric Patch, of these really cute animals. So you can use pictures, you can use panels, focus fabrics, or the pattern is written so that you can just continue these on out. This 10-inch square replaces 2 blocks or 3 of the migrating geese in any size, so it's easy to adapt to any size. This is my original Jelly Roll Dresden. This actually takes 1 jelly roll, and you have enough for this size, which is about 82 inches square, and you have enough left over to make this center as a wall hanging or 2 half plates as pillow shams. Then when I was at market 2 years ago, or almost, Michael Miller's marketing rep asked me if I would be interested in making a quilt out of cocoa, which is their fabric line, in this pattern. And so this was made for them, and they've used it now to promote their cocoa fabric. And this is the first new one upside down, that we just did. At this retreat. It's called Off Quilter. It's a traditional log cabin block just set off center in an off quilter way, so it's called Off Quilter. It's also a new one. This is On the Run, and this is my go-to table runner pattern. It is so adaptable because you could change the width of it just by changing your center block, and everything else falls in place. You can also keep adding on to it to make it longer or shorten it. But I was asked at the quilt crossing to teach this pattern as a quilt as you go. And so the instructions include the quilt as you go method as well. This one is done quilt as you go. These are all done just regular and then quilted on the machine. And actually, I think this is much faster than doing a quilt as you go. But if you really like to do quilt as you go, here's your pattern. This one's called Pretty Pavers, done in 6-inch strips, and it can be used a charm pack in between, out of your stash or yardage, either one. This is Rhapsody, done with a jelly roll and some additional fabric in these squares, but this is one jelly roll. Okay. This is just done with strips and a separate fabric. You could use a jelly roll. It would be different in the diagonal pieces, but it's written so that it could be used that way. Roundup is a very basic quilt. This one was done as a challenge to use a mini charm, because I had a lot of mini charms, and I don't know about you, but I didn't know what to do with them. So that's why this quilt was done. again out of fabric that they no longer have. But using a mini charm, and it's written for multiple sizes using fabric. This was the original. Big one is the original, and it's queen size. I saw a painting that was the inspiration for this big one, and then I've had it made and didn't write the pattern up because I wanted to write it for the twin as well. So this is the twin size with just one going vertically, and the queen size has 3 horizontally. Really fun to do. Nina actually tested the pattern on the twin and made this one for me. Thank you, Nina.
You're welcome.
She did a great job. Salt and pepper got named for the fabric and the pattern because it was this black and white layer cake again. And so I decided to call it salt and pepper. And then after I got it finished, we wanted to see what it looked like in other fabric. Now, the story behind this fabric is I lived here in Ephrata for 30 plus years, and this fabric is the special fabric that Fabric Patch had made out of the batiste. This one, if you can see, is the state of Idaho that the JK Quilts did. So this represents my home, both Idaho and Ephrata. And that's, so obviously I had to cut my 10-inch squares before I did this one. I cut that out of fabric. So it's written for both. This is also the other pattern that we are doing during retreat called So Naughty. This is my original design that I was making up, and then I wrote the pattern, and I realized if you look real close, the knot in this one is going vertical, where the knot in this one is going horizontal. And I changed it when I wrote the pattern because this one took a lot more of this particular fabric, where if I turned it, it didn't. So I could say, you know, you could buy 2 yards of 3 colors and then decide where you wanted to put them. So that's the difference between these. And that's written for more sizes than just that. This one is again a layer cake. This is the one that somebody asked me if my mind ever stopped designing patterns, and I said no. This one I woke up in the night about 2 in the morning and thought, if I took a layer cake and I sliced it this way and then that way, and then added a strip in between, I wonder what it would look like. And I laid there and thought about it for a long time, and I thought, my husband will kill me if I get out of bed right now and go do it. So I waited, but after we got up and around, this is what I came up with. And so then I called it Shattered Glass, but that's just a layer cake. Simply Sashing is a pattern that is just that. It's how to do the sashing so your cornerstones come out perfect every time.
Blanche.
What? Oh. And it includes all size blocks and multiple size quilts, depending on how big your blocks are. This one happens to be a charm pack, which is what I used to teach the class initially. I used to try to explain how to do the technique when I was at the store, and people would kind of glaze over. So I thought, okay, this has to be written down so they can study it and have pictures. But once you've done it, it's really simple, and it makes those cornerstones come out perfect. Sisters is again a layer cake, and it's been, I wrote it about 2015 or 16. But this is a new quilt itself that I just made for, we're doing donation quilts for victims of human trafficking that have been rescued. And the girls really like the bright colors and teals and pinks. And I thought, I had this layer cake and I thought this is a perfect one. So because it's so different from the other ones on the pattern, I thought I'd bring it to show you before I give it to them. Sleepy is not a prize winning thing, but I'll show you just the cover. I did not bring a quilt with me for it because I didn't make the quilt. This is the design. It says Sleepy and then it changes to a Z at the end until you have a full row of Z's at the bottom. I designed it for Michael Miller for a fabric line called Insomnia. And the line itself was all black and white and it has sleep masks and little lambs jumping across fences and it's telling you all the things you need to do to sleep. And so I submitted this and then they chose it and I thought, oh shit, now I have to write the pattern. But that's why the quilt hasn't been made. There are two of these. This one has a little bit of a story that I originally did it in these colors as a wedding gift for a special couple. And of course I gave it to them. I had my notes down as to the measurements and how I did it. And then I lost them. And so I redid it in rainbow colors, thinking, ooh, wonder what it would look like. And then I still couldn't find my instructions. And I was recreating that one, wrote the pattern, had Sherry test it. We had a few difficulties because what I thought was going to work didn't work. So she marked it return to sender. And we had a few more discussions and eventually between the two of us, we got it finished. But it actually is pretty easy to put together when you have your right measurements. Yeah. This is a new one, and this is one of my favorites. It's called Stepping Stones. Yes, Sherry just made this because I got here, and when I was loading all the quilts on the racks, I haven't found it. I don't know what happened between Boise and here, but Stepping Stones, it was done in batiks, in blues and tans. But Sherry whipped this out. This is done with a charm pack, or can be, and then a border fabric, and it comes in different sizes. This one's called Tower of Blocks. And this particular one is, again, a charm pack and a little bit of accent fabric. And then I had Teresa test the pattern, and she made this one from a bright charm pack, and we added the border to that one, where this one does not have a border on it. Super fast, super, super fast. This one is called Wild, only because of the fabric that I made it out. But again, really simple blocks put together a little off balance so you don't have a lot of intersecting seams, making it easier for beginners. And large pieces, it's got 10-inch blocks, 5-inch blocks, and 5 by 10 rectangles in it. So it goes together really super quick. This one is, again, the one that we're doing tomorrow at Retreat. This is zigzag. And instead of the traditional half square triangles, this is like our Magic series, in that it's a 5-inch block or 5-inch strip and a 2.5-inch strip. And then you cut them in blocks and that's it. We just sew them together. So it goes together, again, super fast, which is traditional for me. Life's short and there's only so much time to get all these quilts made. This is the original, called Box Fans. It's done with a 5-inch strip and a 2.5-inch strip. And that's it. And these little pinwheels happen automatically. Kristen just made this one that's a twin size of the same pattern. Again, a 5-inch strip and a 2.5-inch strip. And it goes together really fast. This one, again, is one of the Magic series. 5-inch strip, 2.5-inch strip. That's it. Half square triangles made out of that. And as you reverse your fabrics, this has 2 light colored fabrics and 2 dark colored fabrics. And the rest is just part of that series that makes it super fast. This is a favorite. Nina is probably my expert on making this one. I think she made how many for your grandchildren? 5? 4. 4 of these, and she started like in October and haven't finished for Christmas, including quilting them on her home machine with Minky on the back. So she took the prize for lunacy, maybe. Again, 2.5-inch strip and a 5-inch strip put together. This one is, again, the 5-inch strip and the 2.5-inch, part of the Magic series. This one is a little hard to see with this fabric, but this is actually a different fabric. So there's 2 shades of the dark and just 1 shade of the light on that one. This particular quilt is what I was trying for when I got unhinged. I was trying to make these points straight across here, and no matter how I cut it and put it together, it kept having that little wonky thing. So I finally figured out how to do it. You only use half of the blocks in this one, and it makes those edges, but you don't waste your other half. You can put the rest of the half blocks from that, and you have pinwheel paddle. And you're making, when you make that one, you make this quilt at the same time. So all you have to do is sew the individual blocks back together, and you've got this quilt. So it's super fun. Again, 5-inch strip, 2.5-inch strip. This was the original pattern in Wind Farm, or in the Magic series. I was trying to make a particular block easier to make. That's my philosophy. But it kept coming out wrong. And when I took it into the shop, Cindy thought maybe I should just give up, throw them out and do something else. And I thought, no, I'm going to keep working at it. And so by putting them together a little differently, I ended up with what I call Wind Farm. And that began the whole series when I realized if I could turn those blocks differently or sew them together differently, I came out with a totally different look. Again, 5-inch strip, 2.5-inch strip. Then after I finished all of those particular ones with the 5-inch and the 2.5-inch, I thought, well, okay, what if I change the 5-inch piece to 2 more 2.5s? So this is called Kaleidoscope. This one was done with a jelly roll, and that one was done out of my stash. 3 2.5-inch strips in it. And that's it. You just do a block, a square, out of those 3.5, and when you put them back together following this, you get the kaleidoscope effect. So then I got to experimenting with the graphic designs and the black and white, and came up with this design I called Line Dancing. This again is like that first one of Hinged. You use half the block, but when you do, the other half makes spinning. So you make both quilts at the same time. Now, because I like this one, then I thought there's an easier way to put these blocks together. So you can make spinning by itself, and this is just 2 different colorways in baby sizes, so of course it had to be pink and blue. And that's the same as the spinning. This will not make line dancing. Line dancing will make one of these. But this, you put it together a little bit differently, but you still get these tiny pinwheels in the middle without cutting any small parts. This one actually is spinning, done last year at retreat in a different fabric from my black and white, but there she is. Nancy Martin did this one, and she brought it back to show us what hers looked like in the twin size. That fun? And it really is super fast. You use, well, I didn't say she was super fast. The pattern is, the way you put it together, you use the 3 stripes, the 3 strips, 2 black and a white, and then 2 white and a black. And when you put your square together, you end up with all these pinwheels. Super fast pattern that I have made, I don't know, hundreds of them, I think. And we do have some kits that have the pull fabric, the Velcro, and the fat quarter, which will make 3 snack sacks. And they're reusable, so you can stick snacks in there for kids. I have one that I use for makeup that I've had for, I don't know, since I first designed it. And I made a bunch for my grandson. You can change the size and make them bigger. This size will hold snacks or apples or a sandwich. This is just a really quick way to make either a credit card holder, excuse me, or for gift cards. If you want to give a gift card to somebody and you don't want to just stick it in an envelope, you can make this cute little treasure keeper pocket. It has 2 sections to it, so you can use it. I use them when I travel, just like over the weekend. Stick my earrings in one and my necklace in the other and zip it up and stick it in, and you don't have to have any bulk. I also carry all my gift cards that people give me in one of these that has the RAF fabric inside so that nobody can scan them. And I know where they are instead of in the home or in the pocket or in the car, and I never can find them. So that's very helpful.
Hi, my name is Teresa Watts, and I handle all of the social media for Carolyn Hutchinson. Please remember to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're interested in purchasing our patterns, we have them at carolynsinstitches.com, as well as on Etsy, which is carolynsinstitches.etsy.com. You can also find us in your local quilt shop, such as the Fabric Patch, Quilt Crossing, and JK Quilts. Thank you.
Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.